It's very nice to be thought of as being pretty, as being, it's a plus. It's nice. It's not terribly important, but it is nice to have it in your favor.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here, and I really do appreciate your time. So today I'm gonna be speaking on the whole situation with the content creator named Trophy Wife and the news that she has recently come out and shared with the YouTube community, the Black Girls in Luxury space, the Level Up space, the Black Women's Empowering space, all of those spaces. She was a content creator who specifically made content on those topics. I'm gonna play a brief clip which will give like a synopsis, kind of a background on her, and then I will come back with the rest of my commentary.
Today, I'm going to be sharing my story with you guys about how I went from being a single mom to a spoiled housewife in less than 1 year. After having 2 children and being a single mom, I think that my self-esteem was definitely low. So I ended up signing up for eHarmony. I created a profile, and I think the second person that I matched with was the man that I'm married to now, my husband. And it was very different. My husband and I had a 20-year age gap. So when I met my husband, I knew right away almost, and people say that, but it was definitely true, and that sounds cliche. Just from our first date, it just felt natural. I felt like I just had known this person already. It was so comfortable. So we went to a really nice seafood restaurant, and it was a great date, and I think he ended up asking me to be his girlfriend on the first date, and I said I would think about it. For some reason, we kind of stopped talking for a little while, and we both were dating other people and doing our own thing, and then I had gotten into a serious relationship with somebody, ended up breaking up because he just didn't really vibe with my oldest son, who was 5 at the time. I could tell that he was really just putting up with my kids. He didn't really embrace them. Sometimes, we as mothers can tell, like, someone's just being nice to our kids for the purpose of being with you, and they're not necessarily invested in your kids themselves. And that's what I felt like from him. So it just didn't feel good. It didn't feel like a family, the kind of family that I was wanting. So I ended up breaking up with him, and we were living together. And I just, like, packed up my stuff and left. And it was crazy because the next day, my husband, my now husband, reached out to me and was like, hey, how are you doing? And I told him, I just got out of a relationship, and I kind of told him a little bit about why. And he was telling me, like, oh, those are my boys, and he had genuinely really connected with my kids, and he was not the kind of man that was just being nice to them to get to me. Like, it was very genuine, and that was one of the things that
A lot has happened since the last time that I recorded. Unfortunately, it's been a little over a month since I had to end up leaving my husband. It's just such a hard topic, and I honestly thought that by the time I got on here that I wouldn't have any tears left because I've just cried so much. It's like I built this channel and this whole brand around being this man's wife and trying to teach other women how to attract good men and provider men and all these different things. And I truly held my husband, or saw him, as the bar for what every woman should, the type of man or type of husband that every woman should aspire to have. And I didn't realize that the person I married was actually going to be my biggest nightmare. So basically, when I first met my husband, as I've already talked about in another video, I think it was my single mom video, I explained, a little bit about how we met, and I really thought that man was my Prince Charming. So when I first met my husband, I thought that he was my Prince Charming. I thought that he was my knight in shining armor, and, he portrayed himself to be this amazing, upright, righteous Christian man, and I believed him. I think shortly after we got married, and this is something that I haven't talked about, I started noticing, like, certain things changed with him, and I just started to see a few things that I didn't like, but I honestly thought that some of these were things that I could get past. It's, like, sad to even say, like, I could get past some of these things. I don't even know where to start. 6 weeks ago, I was changing my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter. I noticed that when I changed her, she was red and very sensitive. And immediately, my first thought was, did someone touch her? Oh God. Gosh. So I asked her, I said, baby, did somebody touch you? And she ended up saying it was Daddy. I felt like my world ended on that day. time when she told me, but I knew he would be coming home soon, so all I could do was just say, don't tell him that you told me. And I just instantly started trying to think of how I could get my kids out of the house, because I knew if I confronted him or asked him about it, that he would just lie.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I have tremendous empathy for her situation concerning her children. If all of this turns out to be exactly what she suspects it is, that's going to require a lot of therapy for not only the children, but her as well. And regardless of what content that she made or what things that she has said to rub people the wrong way, no one deserves to find out that their daughters or their children were being touched by a family member. And fortunately, it does appear like she is listening to her children, and she is trying to, get them the help they need, get them away from that person. As we surely know, that is not the truth for everyone. There have been people who have experienced things and they told someone in their family and they were not believed, and no one helped them, no one removed them from, the access to the person who was doing this to them. So kudos to her for doing that. It's so important that we listen to our children when they are saying certain things, when they are showing certain signs, that we don't ignore them for our own comfort, for our own convenience, that we are paying attention to the signs. So that's number one. Number two, I wanted to say that my video is basically going to be focusing on two main aspects of this particular conversation. More so addressing why I believe you have so many content creators, particularly in the level up, luxury, black girl luxury spaces, who come out showing that they have such a great life, who put on for their fans, who make content specifically around creating a spectacle out of their lives concerning how many designer items that they have, and where, and what type of home they live in, what type of car they drive, how many vacations. Why so many content creators that make that type of content often have such a very public and extreme downfall. What I always notice is when another girly falls, there are so many people who discuss her lack of authenticity and, oh, why wasn't she keeping it real? And people start with their soapboxes. Well, my perspective concerning that particularly is the reason why so many content creators do oftentimes fake their life, whether they're in the black girls in luxury space or not, is because that's what people want. People do not want to see normal, regular, relatable people just doing well, being happy, having small wins here and there. No, people are not looking to see that. A lot of times your audience dictates, what type of content that you're making. And I've noticed that a lot of times what I will hear people say, even to me sometimes, is, oh, this is not luxury, or this is not special. Why are you vlogging? Why are you posting this? Like, people feel that the more normal a person's life is, it's not aspirational. They can't live vicariously through you. And so people want to see someone only wearing designer, covered in diamonds, living in a penthouse, living in a huge 6-bedroom house, multiple cars, certain types of designer or exotic rather cars. People want to see that type of content, right? So that they can partake in that lifestyle via somebody else. And so that's why a lot of time people feel like they have to keep it up. They have to keep up with the Joneses. They have to put on airs to feed their viewers, because they know deep down inside they can't really be normal, and they everything has to be extravagant, everything has to be expensive, because that's what people want to see. Because people really rely on other people's content to have a connection to that world, to step into the world of luxury and wealth, it becomes like, no, I demand that you always wear Chanel. I demand that you drive a certain type of car. I demand that when you go house shopping or when you go apartment shopping, you get a penthouse. Like, people will really trick content creators out and kind of force them to think that they have to maintain a certain appearance to keep people watching. And I think that really does cause a vicious cycle where people can't escape. Where someone like me, I have no desire. I have no desire to pretend to be something I'm not. I live in a regular house. You know, my husband makes good money. He's able to take care of me and my kids. We have low moments, we have high moments. You know, God has been good to us. The parts of my life that I share are those genuine parts from my genuine life. I have no desire to pretend to be wealthier or have more luxury than I really do. And then it also comes back to what is your, you know, definition of luxury. For a lot of people, it is the designer, it is the cars, it is the penthouse, it is that lifestyle that they associate. And because, like I said, because they truly have a disdain for themselves and people like themselves and the regular person, that's why people say, well, luxury can only be this way. You know, I'm in this group on Facebook, and it's Black Girls in Luxury. It's one of the more popular Black girl spaces on Facebook. And oh my goodness, I so many times I'll see a woman post like make a post where she's talking about a small accomplishment, or she lost like 15 pounds, or she found her favorite sweater on sale. And literally every time there will be at least 4 or 5 comments of people saying like, how is this luxury? Why are you posting in a luxury group? And to me, I find that so phenomenal in a sense that it's interesting, because you have other middle class working people trying to shame other middle class working people with putting some arbitrary standard on what's luxury. People want to gatekeep what they actually don't have, where they actually can't participate in. You putting something on a pedestal, and because it's on a pedestal for you, when you see people that don't reflect or don't have what it is that you have decided is equivalent to better than you or better than what you have, you want to gatekeep it. You want to tell other people, no, you can't be happy, you know, losing 15 pounds. No, you can't be happy, you know, finding a sale at Target. No, you can't. That is like, wow, that's like crazy to me. There are literally people who openly do that. But see, there's a difference between when you have aspirational goals and you look up to certain people and you like to engage with their content because it shows you where you can go, versus you becoming obsessed and you're living vicariously through these people in an unhealthy parasocial way where there's no real awareness of what's going on anymore, like ironically, and you start to genuinely feel owed a good show from these people, a good performance from these people. And I think that's really what's going on online as well. Whenever there is a woman who is promoting traditionalism, the first thing you will notice is people are waiting to watch her fall, right? People are, anytime a woman openly talks about loving being married, loving to serve her husband, loving to take care of her family, prioritizing her family, right? She's automatically on most people's shit list. Which I don't understand why, because those type of people tend to be feminists, and they tend to, or I would think that they would have the mentality of, well, women can make their own choice. So if you choose to be a more traditional woman, that's just as valid as if you choose not to be. And if you choose not to be, that's just as valid. I would think that would be the realm of thinking, but no, it typically is not like that at all. But I got married rather fast. I got engaged in about 6 to 7 months. I was married in about 11 months after the engagement. And I actually got married on my birthday. My first ceremony was in a small church with just my mom and like 3 other people, my husband's parents, and the bishop who did premarital counseling with us. And it was a small, humble wedding. And I honestly wish I would have stuck with that instead of later on trying to have a big wedding for all the people who felt ways that they weren't invited. And so, but that's another topic. But I am a woman who got married rather fast and rather quickly. I will say you can only attempt this if you know yourself well enough to know what it is that you truly want. What is actually important to you as a woman. And I say this a lot of times in my videos because I truly think this is the key to understanding what will bring you true happiness and really be like content with your decisions that you've made. And it's not a decision that you can make, you know, via your mom, your friends, different dating coaches on social media. You have to know yourself well enough to know what's important to you. And I knew at 21 years old, I was ready to start dating for marriage, right? So I understood that, okay, at this age, when I was modeling, I lived a fast life. I traveled a lot. I saw the world. I was around a lot of things that most people dream about seeing and doing. I did it. I experienced it. So by the time I turned 21, I had pretty much lived a full life in that sense. So I was over the clubbing and all of that. I was looking for true commitment and working my way to settling down. Like, that's really genuinely what I wanted. That's how I felt. I had my own life experiences and the experiences of others that really allowed me to understand, okay, well, this is what I want for myself. And that's what it was. So at that point, I was only dating guys that I felt like I could marry. So if I met a guy and I, did my phone dating, because that was something I did a lot, and I talked them over a series of weeks, not months, weeks, and I realized that, hey, we're not compatible long term, I would just move along. By the time I met my husband and I got my second, kind of third, that's a different story, but by the time I met my husband and we got engaged, when we started dating, I knew he was someone I could see myself married with. Now, I was sure he was going to propose to me. I had a inkling, but I wasn't like 100% sure. I knew it was a possibility. I knew I had the qualities that he wanted and he had the qualities that I wanted, and that for the most part we could work on certain things later on or throughout the marriage. But basically we had similar mindsets, similar goals, similar values. Overall, we had a common thread of what was important to us, what our values were, where we wanted to be. And so that was the basis upon which I said yes to my husband when he proposed to me, and then eventually when we got married. I think that it's a possibility that the trophy wife was only looking at finances and provision, and she was not 100% had her like eye open, right? Her full eyes, all her eyes open, and she wasn't able to engage in true discernment, because when you select a man based off of survival, because you're in survival mode, and he comes along and he's a provider and he has certain things, you're not going to be genuinely picking him based off of what you would or wouldn't do, or how you would or wouldn't behave in normal circumstances. And so I believe that is partially what happened. Is she left her ex, was in a desperate situation with her kid or kids. Maybe I think she had 2 kids before, and she needed somewhere to stay, and she needed to, hop on to the next savior. And I think that's what she did. And again, her unfortunate circumstances does not negate the fact that you can't get married fast, or you shouldn't get married fast, or you shouldn't look for certain types of men with a certain capabilities of being providers. It's that you have to have a more holistic, well-rounded view of yourself and the type of person that you would then be compatible with. Them being able to provide, it should just be one of those aspects. It shouldn't be the main aspect, and it shouldn't be the only thing that you focus on, because you're putting yourself in a position where you could run into someone who you don't really know. And just to kind of touch on that really, because I don't want the video is getting kind of long, but doesn't matter how long you date someone, how long you wait before you get married. The truth is, people can change at any given time in their life. It could be an experience, it could be a health scare, anything can come along and change the person that you know or that you thought you knew. And marriage in general is a risk. It's not something that always works out for people. Sometimes it takes people multiple times to figure out how to be married. And as long as you keep that in mind, you will have a more realistic view of whether or not you're suited for marriage. So the reason why I could never come on to social media and, put myself out there as a relationship expert, or why I would never even think about moving in that direction, because it's always a choice. Like, people don't come online and become known for their advice on relationships like Kevin Samuels and Shira. People don't do that randomly. It eventually happens. People keep coming to them, asking them certain things, and then they eventually embrace that branding, and then they fully fall into it, and they fully start becoming, okay, this is who I am now. This is the content that I make now. The reason why that's something I would never do, and why I always side-eye people who do that type of content, is because it's not real. There's no tricks, there's no secrets, there's no hacks to men or women. It's not. You have to know yourself. And after you know yourself, you can better decide, or at least be aware of what sort of persons are best for you in terms of compatibility. Like I said, if you don't do the work to really know who you are as a woman or as a man, you can't select a partner for yourself. You just simply can't do it. And a lot of people are too busy being themselves, and they don't know themselves. And because they don't know themselves, they don't know what they need and what they don't. They don't know what situations would be best for them and what situations would be detrimental for them. And so, like I said in one of my other videos, traditionalism is not the problem. Marriage is not the problem. Prioritizing your husband and children are not the problem. So you have women who are jumping into traditional marriages because the Love What movement told them, well, most traditional men typically are providers, because they just want someone to take care of them, and they're not actually thinking about what type of man works best for them. Because you can look for a man to take care of you, but you also need to look for a man that you are ultimately compatible with long term. You don't have to be with someone specifically just for one or two aspects. And you can't, because that's not going to produce a long-term relationship. That's going to produce, oh, they give me what I need right now. And I think that's potentially what was going on with her marriage. And like I said, some of the other phenomena that I mentioned earlier about when people become certain types of content creators and they have to keep up an appearance. They have to keep doing certain things. They have to keep saying certain things so that it can all be authentic. See, the freedom that comes with being who you genuinely are and really working that out and genuinely coming on camera and being that real person is you never have to pretend. You never have to make up things. It's just like that phrase where people say, a lie is hard. The truth, is easier. It's so easier to be who you truly are than constantly trying to make sure, okay, so I have to be a luxury content creator, okay? All right, so I have to have one designer in every video, okay? I have to live in a particular house, and I have to have a certain house in the background. I have to drive a certain car, so that could be in the background. I have to have a certain man that's attractive enough, but, wealthy and, elusive, okay, so he is in the background, and I have to have a certain... That's too much. That's too much. You have to constantly make up a lie, and you have to keep fulfilling that lie, and all the other aspects of your life that you plan on showing people have to match that lie. I couldn't live like that. I couldn't live like that. I truly have empathy for the people who are stuck in that loop, especially financially, because if you have to make this type of content to make money, to maintain your lifestyle, if you have to continue to entertain men that are going to sponsor your lifestyle so you can make content that you don't really like, that you don't really have nothing in common with, and borderline doing sex work, it's not for me. That's all I have to say on this topic. Get below, tell me how you feel. What are your thoughts regarding the situation? Please be respectful concerning the children that are involved in this topic. But yeah, let me know how you feel about this. Thanks for watching. Take care.